Okay, so I'm here with Christofi, founder and CEO of Rivington, one of Australia's leading property advisories and a property investor in his own right with some considerable experience and success. Chris, do you remember the first property you bought? How much you paid for it? Do you still have it?
Yes, no. So I remember the first property I bought. I remember how much I paid for it, and no, I don't have it. First property I bought was a 3-bedroom townhouse, townhouse in Tweed. Double lock-up garage. I bought $183,400. I used a $30,000 deposit. I then unsold it for $328 a few years later, making a 480% return on my initial deposit and investment, which I then used to buy other properties.
Okay, do you have an underlying philosophy that underpins your personal investing and perhaps also what you advise your business clients with?
100%. Now, when I started investing, I was fortunate enough, I fell in love with the industry. I bought my first property. I was around about 19, 20 years old. I bought a second, third, fourth. I bought 8 properties. I was 23, 24, but lending was a lot easier then. So low doc loans were a lot more prevalent and easier to get. I over leveraged at the time, and the company I was working for into receivership, and I had quite a good income, $300,000 to $400,000 I was earning as a national manager. When I lost my income, the company I was working for owed me $780,000 because I had like a small franchise. When those two things happened, I had to sell all my real estate, which is about 8 pieces, sell my assets, which was my car, move back into my parents. And the reason that happened to me is I was over leveraged at the time. So I learned through that experience, and I wrote a book, as you know, you've endorsed it, Amazon bestseller in 3 categories, on how to not over leverage. And we've created what we call the Rivington formula. We've helped over 3,300 Australians get into the property market safely and securely. Now, a term that you've heard many times, location. I've coined one, affordability. Because if you can afford to maintain a property for the right amount of time, and you're smart with how you purchase, you'll always make money in real estate. It's a bold statement. I said it to my clients. You'll always make money as long as you can afford to keep it, it's in the right areas, and you've got good tax savings.
There's something there in your personal history I'd like to expand a little bit on, and that is sometimes people who ultimately are very successful have a point where everything goes pear-shaped and they have to start again. It sounds like that happened with you, but that's perhaps a good object lesson for people, that you can overcome those early adversaries and go on and be very successful with property investment.
Well, look, I've had a few big challenges in my life. At the time, my son was losing his hearing. I almost lost him, so he was hospitalized. So I've had 2-3 professional and personal circumstances that have been very big. I was currently going through one at the moment. They've been, in reflection, the best times of my life when I look back, because I've course corrected a lot of things. I've learned new things. I've analyzed what I did good, what I can do better, and that really helped me. So from a property investment perspective, I knew that I over leveraged, but what I also knew as well, that real estate was a great investment. It's safe and secure. Everyone's heard nothing safer than bricks and mortar. And by accompanying that with the right strategy, like the Rivington formula we've developed, we've tested it, we refined it, we're going over and over. We've got a lot of great research, both our own research and independent research, people like yourself. We've used hotspotting now. We've worked together for over, I think, 10 years. I was thinking about, how long has it been, Terry?
Over 10 years.
So we've worked together for over 10 years, and I always mix my thoughts with great thought leaders like yourself. You've been in the industry for 40 years, I've been 20, so that's 60 years of experience, just us. And it's always good to ask questions, to get independent research. So you're giving your clients the best information they deserve. You're making sure that they are going to have a robust system where they can make money, build their wealth for now and generations to come. And more importantly, we invest as in Rivington, my family, where we advise our clients to invest, which I think is a massive thing.
Yeah, that's a nice segue into another question I have for you, and that relates to the importance of being willing to invest in information and advice. I find a lot of people aren't willing to do that. They'll spend the big money on the real estate, but penny pinch on those important preliminary steps like getting good advice and information.
I'd go the other way around with that. I'll spend more than I can afford in my own educational personal development, and I have done that for many years. Some people have called me a little bit crazy. I even sold an investment property, and I put about $300,000-400,000 over a 2-year period in my personal education, upskilling myself. I've still got mentors that I use that are very successful. They live and breathe what they say, what they do. They have a proven track record. So I think when it comes to advice, always pay people smarter than yourself. For me, it was always an advantage because I always find people smarter than me, but I had an eagerness to want to learn. And investing money in yourself is the best investment you'll ever make, bar none, because you understand how things work. So I still have coaches and mentors to today. I still invest a lot of money in it, and I still see it as the number one thing in my life for myself, for my clients and my team, and my family.
Yeah. So you mentor people, but you have mentors, and I'm sure your mentors have mentors. It's an important lesson for people, I think.
Yeah, well, look, when you go to school, you've got a teacher. When you're an elite athlete, you've got a coach. Anything you do in life to excel, understand how to become really proficient at something, you need an expert or a mentor. Why wouldn't you use that with your financial security? I don't know. Why people think they know it all. And another common thing that I know we both see is people speak to uninformed family and friends, the Chicken Littles of the world. Don't buy real estate because of this, this, and this. I find them very helpful because that will give you all the reasons why not to buy real estate. I think you grab a pen and pad, write down what they're concerned about. This is the things that can go wrong. You grab your pen and pad and you go see an expert and go, hey, how can I insure against A, B, C, D? How can you help me make sure that this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen? So for me, you need the negative Nellies, whatever you want to call people that have never done this or never invested in real estate, because that will give you ideas what you shouldn't do. Write them down and go ask an expert. I'm concerned about A, B, C, D. What can you tell me?
We often say to people, build your team before you build your portfolio. What are the sort of professionals, experts should you have on your team as an investor starting out?
It's a great question, and I write a big chapter about this in my book. And the reason I wrote the book is I want people to invest safely and securely. That's my goal, that's my vision, that's my mission. Now, would I want people to come to my company, our company? Of course. But whether they don't come to that company, they get the right advice and they invest securely and build their wealth, that's my goal, that's my purpose. So going back to your question, why would you get the right team? You need a good broker, finance broker. You need a good property consultant that understands the market, that reads up-to-date reports. You need a good property manager. You need a good accountant that understands the right tax efficiencies you can get, making sure you've got your right forms in place, making sure you're compliant. You need a good financial
plan. Buying
plan.
in the right entity.
100%. Where are you going to be the most tax efficient? When you exit it as well, you need a strategy. How do I exit the most tax efficient way possible? So all these things require expert advice. And in my experience, and I've been in the game for close to 25 years as it stands currently, you need the right people that understand. You can't have one person be an expert in all fields. Even with my knowledge, I still have a team of 4 or 5 experts. Now, the ones to find, in my opinion, to separate the real good ones, how long have you been in the game for? Who have you helped? What's your track record? And a super important question to ask, do you believe in what you're saying? Do you invest in real estate? If you're a broker, tell me a bit about your experience, about your backgrounds. I want to know that the people who are advising me that are on my team are well equipped to give me the right advice. And more importantly, that they're all on one team and they're giving me the right advice. They're not pulling me in this direction, this direction. Here's the strategy, here's the advice. And at Reventon, our first meeting is a strategic planning session to make sure we're on the same page. And then we'll give you advice according to what suits the client.
Okay, so turning to some of the mechanics of property investment, some people try to, trade their way to success. They buy and sell. Can that work, or should people take the approach of accumulating real estate, building a portfolio?
It's a great question, one that I get often. Do I buy and sell? Do I develop? Do I renovate? And I say, people expect you to say a certain thing because you operate in that space. I've seen all 3 strategies be very, very successful. It comes down to what I said in the previous question. The person you're getting the advice from lives and breathes it, can show you based on your circumstances. Now, my strategy that I use for my clients is to buy and hold, accumulate wealth safely and securely, and then you start selling it towards your retirement. You start maybe transferring it to your family, your relatives. Again, you need advice around each of these, not relatives, your family, whatever the case you may do from that sense. But each strategy, it depends how old you are, what your net disposable income. There's so many more questions that we need to ask to unwrap that. But our strategy that we help Reventon is to buy and accumulate. I've seen everyone do these strategies successfully, all 3 that I mentioned, and I've also seen these strategies done poorly as well. So
yeah. For people who want to accumulate, how important is it for them to get that first one right?
I talk so much about this, and I've also wrote that about the book, in my book. It's the stepping stone to your second, third, and fourth property. So I say the first property is the most important. What does that mean? It means don't over leverage, don't borrow too much money, make sure it's affordable, make sure you can afford a couple interest rates to go up, make sure you can afford the property not to be rented 52 weeks of the year, and you have the right safety nets. Because as I say, property goes up in value, but that's one strategy, capital growth. But if you can sustain the loan and also pay it, you're building equity twice as fast, and you repeat a successful process. You're buying 2 properties, 3. So I was able to buy multiple properties in a very quick period of time because I never over leveraged like I did when I was 24 years old. So I learned from that.
So don't maximize your borrowing capacity with that first one. Have a little bit of leeway.
And have safety nets in place as well. Make sure rates can go up, especially in the current market like now where rates are going up. You need to make sure you can afford that because rates will never go from what they are now to 15%. They'll gradually go up. So if you can afford a 1, 2, 3% interest rise, you can go to your broker and say, hey, it's getting a little bit tight around the collar now. My repayments are high, what shall I do? And they might advise you to fix part of your loan. They might advise you to fix all of your loan. You have time to respond. And having safety nets in your account, again, represents time, represents not having tenants 52 weeks of the year and having the right insurances in place. There's so many things that we need to discuss further.
Okay. You may have answered this question already, but if you had the ability to go back in time and give advice to the 25-year-old you, what would it be?
Listen more, which is something I've always struggled with. Someone goes, you've got two ears, one mouth. I like to ask a lot of questions. So get more knowledge. I've always been a sponge when it comes to getting knowledge, and I've always had the ability to surround myself with great people. What I define as great people is people that live and breathe what they do, have a proven track record, and that also share my values, because then I'll enjoy working with them. I'll enjoy them mentoring me. So that's a very, very important thing. So I did a lot of good things when I was younger, and that was surround myself with great people, with great minds. But I'd probably be a little bit more patient with my decisions so I can make more strategic decisions, but I'll still attack with the same veracity as I do now. So once I make a decision, I'm all in. I probably take a little bit more time in the front of that decision, asking more, listening more, but I did a lot of things right as well, which have allowed me to gain a ton of knowledge.
Okay. So real estate abounds with myths and misconceptions. What are some of the most important ones that people should be aware of and not be misled by?
Well, I think that's a constant question that keeps changing. Buy your own home, the great Australian dream, never use credit card and you'll be right. That strategy is great if you want to be broke, and that's what's leading 95% of Australians to be broke. That's an old methodology that doesn't work anymore. Rent vesting, which is one of the most popular ways to build your wealth. I was rent vesting when I was 19, 20 when I bought my first property, before it was even a term. Back then I wanted to buy a property that was affordable. Now property prices have gone so high that people are resorting to that as an option. Ironically, it's a better option. You have 100% tax efficient debt. You're living in the areas you want and investing in the areas that are prime for growth, which means you can duplicate a successful process, which is what we discussed. So yeah, rent vesting is a great idea, but it comes down to an initial discussion because, as you know, there's no one strategy fits all. Everybody's different. You've got to look at your age, your net disposable incomes. Do you have children? What are your goals? How much credit card debts you have? Do you have personal loans? There's so many things that you need to unwrap to make sure that you can give that a good answer, to give the answer that it deserves.
I know you're passionate about directing some of the wealth you've achieved from your success into specific charities. The Brick by Brick
initiative, that we came up with. Look, I'm a very proud ambassador to St Vincent de Paul. So I do the Vinnie CO Sleep Out since 2018. I've been appointed in 2019 as an ambassador. There's only a couple of us left in Victoria, and I'm very proud about that work. So is Reventon. So having a purpose but giving back to the community is super important. That might be financial, it also might mean knowledge. I'm very privileged in my life that I can be able to give both. I give my knowledge to wherever I can, hence why I wrote the book. 100% of the money from that book, not proceeds, all the money go towards charity. And we've also, I had an idea to buy a home, pay it off, and donate it to charity, St Vincent de Paul's. We've currently bought the block, we're building the home, and we're going to auction and sell that off. I've raised enough money to do that for over $1 million is kind of the mark. We estimated 700, but because we do great research, we buy with it where we told the clients to buy. But while I was doing all the research, a very interesting fact, which I was very happy to hear, we're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital gains. Zero is paid because it's for a charity. So we can showcase our skills through buying in the right area, through buying a property that's going to grow, which is exactly what we teach our clients, exactly what we do, make hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit and not pay capital gains. So doing this brick by brick initiative, which I'm doing along with St. Vincent de Paul's and Hermitage Homes, which gave me an amazing price on a home, 5-bedroom, double story, double garage as well, an amazing product for, I'd say about 100 to 200,000 under market value because they're helping me and helping a great cause. I've been fortunate to call a lot of favors to make this happen.
So just to finish, the words brick by brick seem to be very important in a lot of what you do. Just explain that philosophy.
Well, I think you got to build your wealth brick by brick. So that's also a metaphor that the first brick might not be buying a home. The first brick might be getting the knowledge to be able to act with confidence and competence. The second part might be forming the right team, the second brick. The third brick might be your investment. So brick on brick on brick, which is the last chapter in my book, version 2 is about to be released now with some updated information. I think it's so important. It's a metaphor that you build your wealth brick by brick. But before your wealth, if you don't have enough money to get into the market, you need the knowledge. So get that knowledge. Buy a $20 book. Get that knowledge. Go speak to an expert. I know so many people like yourself, even in my younger days when I spoke to you, always willing to give me your time to share knowledge, insights of the market. I'm one of those people as well. Go speak to someone, ask some questions to be able to put you in a position. It might take a year to get into the market. If you pick up a book and you ask the right questions, you might get in the market in 6 months, and you might compound how quick you get into the market. So Brick on Brick, which is the name of the book that I created, Your Path to Wealth Brick by Brick, was where I got the idea to create the charity, or the name of the Brick by Brick initiative for the house as well. So yeah, so just a great metaphor, I think.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Chris.